Hello and welcome to the Duquesne Sports Pregame Show. I'm Jack Morgan, alongside me Dylan Pfister, and the Duquesne Dukes are looking to get back in the winning column in a big way against the Fordham Rams. It's going to be on the road. It's a little Sunday matinee, and we're here to discuss it and break it down for you. So, Dylan, Duquesne comes off a loss against the Dayton Flyers. It was a rough one at home. They got to turn it around here. Who are they looking to have a big performance?
Well, they're going to need big performances all around. And like you said, Jack, just a little bump in the road for these Dukes. Came into that Dayton game with a lot of momentum, but they're going to look forward to this Fordham Rams team and try to pick up another in-conference win. Specifically, Trey Dinkins, I think, has really just been that consistency on offense for them. He's going to continue to do that. He put up 14 in the loss against Dayton, along with Cam Crawford, somebody you've talked a lot about, Jack. He was solid in that game. Going to need more solid performances from them for the rest of the season because they really have been the two players that have carried the Dukes through conference play so far.
And on the other side, Fordham has had a rough go of things. They have not won a conference game yet. They came close in that triple overtime thriller against UMass. They're going to be in that same location at Rose Hill again, very historic arena, and they're going to look to get a win. And they have a little bit of familiarity with the Dukes in the form of Jackie Johnson III.
Yeah, Jackie Johnson III spent his freshman year at Duquesne, had 22 points in the game last week. That was a loss to Loyola Chicago, so still coming off a hot performance. But as far as the season goes for Jackie Johnson III, he's averaging 15 points per game. That leads the team, as well as he leads the team in threes. That has been huge for him.
Absolutely. So Fordham, kind of a rough go about things. It's also been a really rough start for the A10 in general, but you're starting to see some teams come along here as clear favorites, i.e. VCU, who had a big win over St. Bonaventure last night at the Stew. St. Louis still holding strong. They had a win over LaSalle on Wednesday, I believe. And as well as Dayton, who had that win against Duquesne. They snuck by St. Joe's Friday night, might be 2 days ago if you're watching this on Sunday. So St. Joe's, obviously, they didn't shoot very well. They shot over 30 threes and only made 9 of them. Dayton's kind of scratching by, but they're starting to really establish themselves in the top 4. Duquesne is on the edge there. They are that last double bye in the A10, but there's a lot of games left to play. So if you're a Duquesne fan, however, this has to be a very encouraging start for you so far.
Yeah, it certainly is. Obviously, rough beginning to the season as a whole, but here we are in the midst of conference play. They're heating up at the right time, just like last season for the Dukes. Obviously, we saw them go on that very strong NCAA tournament run. They were able to take the A10 tournament completely, heating up at this exact moment. So it's definitely promising for the Dukes, but they do have some holes that they're going to have to get over because defensively, Duquesne has not been great. In the A10, they're actually 14th, their defense has been strong, but it's the offense that needs to kick up a little bit for the Dukes. They're 14th in offensive points per game in the A10. Now that's 4th defensively, so they have been able to win games with strong holds on the back line, but it's really been a struggle for them to put up points consistently, and that's something they're going to have to improve.
Absolutely. The stats show themselves, and for Duquesne, they're going to have to get it going against Fordham. They can score. They got a couple of really good guards in Medora and Johnson III. However, Duquesne has looked much better, and as well as Drew Joyce. Drew Joyce is at the epicenter of it all. He has looked really good. He's really improved. And so have the Dukes with him. Just kind of talk about how much Drew Joyce has matured over the course of this season, and how much has helped the Dukes?
Well, we've seen a lot in post-game press conferences. That's just a little more of a personal take from mine, but I think he's really stepped into a more confident role with the Dukes, and you can see that through the winnings as the season has gone on. But really what I would like to see more from the Dukes is that free throw percentage. That really needs to improve, and that's something that you really can only place on Drew Joyce as a head coach. When you have so many players on a roster all struggling with the same issue, that's something that really needs to change. It's starting to affect them down the stretch. Yeah. Duquesne only had a 52% team free throw percentage in the last game against Dayton. That's a lot of points being left on the board for the Dukes. They need to turn that around.
I see producer Nick shaking his head back there. And he's not wrong. He's not wrong because free throws have really hurt Duquesne, and they hurt a lot of teams in college basketball. When you cannot make your free throws, that ends up hurting you more than you think. So Duquesne, they struggle with that in non-conference. They're going to have to look to fix that as we go on. On the other side of the head coaching scale here in this one, Keith Ergo will not be the head coach for Fordham in this game. He is serving a 4-game suspension for recruiting violations. So Trey Woodall, a Pitt legend, is going to end up coaching Fordham. So you kind of look at this opposite end, and it's kind of a more unbalanced scale for coaching-wise for the Fordham Rams.
Yeah, I mean, in the position they're in, Jack, you're talking about 0-6 in the conference, and now all of a sudden you're not going to have your coach for a game. Obviously, that puts any team on ice, but this is still a very strong Fordham Rams team. Again, it's a weak conference record that they have, but they are 8-11. They've won a couple games. They have some star players that have proven they can put up points. Offensively, they haven't been terrible. They're 8th, so that's middle of the pack in the A10, faring much better than the Dukes. They've also been a lot stronger rebounding than Duquesne has been. So to make up for the fact that they're not going to have their coach during this game, they're going to have to be a fast, aggressive unit is going to beat the Dukes to those rebounds and just let their superstars light the court up.
Absolutely. By the way, Woodall, his college career is in the early 2010s. He actually helped the Pitt Panthers win the Big East. That was back when the Big East actually had a lot of great teams. Not so much today. I'm getting a little sentimental, though. I figure a couple of people that watch that would like to hear that. Anyways, we're going to go into our players to watch here. Couple of worthy candidates for each side, but Dylan, who are you going with today?
Well, we've talked a lot about Jackie Johnson III, and he's certainly going to be a factor, but I'm looking for more of a facilitator for the Fordham Rams, and that for me is going to be Jaffe Medor, first on the team in assists, second in steals. Kind of the Kareem Rozier of this Rams team. He's really been that glue holding them together. I think he needs to have a really nice game for them to pull this one out against the Dukes.
I do agree with that one. I'm going to go Jackie Johnson, though. This is sort of a homecoming in a sense. However, not so much because they're not playing in Pittsburgh, but it's one of the first times he's been able to play his former team in his career, and I think that he's going to have to play a big role. I think it's going to be a little emotional. I mean, obviously, you don't have Dambrot there who recruited you to go to Duquesne, but still a couple of familiar faces you would have to think. So it's definitely worth looking out for Jackie Johnson. He obviously, as I think we mentioned, leads them in points with 15 a game. So
I'd like
really
to correct myself from earlier in the show. It was 19 points per game. Sorry to cut you off, Jack.
That is what
19
I thought,
points per game for Jackie Johnson.
I saw it on your screen. I'm like, wait, am I wrong? But no, overall, 19 a game, and he has continued that play in conference play. So I think that Fordham is going to have to look to him. When you're really struggling, you really look to your star players, your leaders. Jackie Johnson's been around a lot of different college basketball locker rooms. I think they're going to look to him to try and right the ship. And remember, Duquesne was right in this boat last year at 0-6. So, if anything, the Dukes should be careful with this Fordham Rams team because they know how quick a season can turn around on a dime. We're going to go to Duquesne. With that being said, who are they looking to have a big game in this one?
This really is going to be a personal take for me, Jack, and this might not be a very. I think there might be some head turns with this one, but my player to watch for this game against Fordham is Jakob Netjes, and I
dig that.
I say that because we're at a time of year similar to last year. I've been talking about the Dukes getting hot, in conference play, heating up, but I specifically look at Jakob as a player who stepped into his own last year, and as the team evolved, he really was that core piece that as he changed, the team changed with him. He started to become such a intricate part of the offense, the defense, the energy on the court for this team last year. He was such a pivotal role in the NCAA tournament. I'm still kind of waiting for him to really step it up this year and prove that he belongs in that starting lineup on a consistent basis, and I think he definitely has done that in the past, But that's the old Dukes. This is a new team, a new squad. I'm waiting for Jakob Netjes to have a really big game and start going off on a consistent basis for the Dukes.
Now, for me, if you sort of look at the lineup the roster as a whole for Fordham, you see that there's one guy that's 6'11", and not many other. You got Cimbala at 6'9". Duquesne runs a pretty tall lineup, you think, with Corbett in there, Dixon in there, Netjes in there. Corbett was supposed to expose the weakness for Dayton, and that was really their smaller forwards. And you thought that with him playing against Santos, he's going to be able to do that. He did not. I think that he's going to get a second chance to redeem himself here. I think they need a big game from Corbett to take down the Fordham Rams on the road. We're going to give you our selections here before we get out of here. Are the Dukes going to get it done on the road in a game that they're probably pretty heavily favored in?
I took the Dukes last game against Dayton. Didn't work out for me, but I have not lost confidence. This is a great Duquesne team that was playing a very good Dayton team.
Yes.
I see the Dukes taking on the Rams very strong here, beating Fordham and taking another conference win under their belt.
So just a reminder on the predictions, not to brag, obviously a lot can change. We're in a pretty good rhythm here. We're pumping out these pregame shows week after week after week. A lot can change. I am up on Dylan by about 2 games, it looks like. I'm 5-3 in my predictions. Dylan, however, is 3-5 after the loss on Tuesday with the Dayton game. However, things can change. I don't think they're going to change in this game, though, because I'm also going with Duquesne. I got Duquesne winning this one pretty comfortably. I think even though they lost, I think they're still rolling. I think there's still a lot of experience on the squad from the tournament team, from other teams who have seen adversity. That's the kind of the benefit of the transfer portal. You still get guys that are experienced in the game of basketball. So I think that Duquesne is going to get it done. I think they win this one by 15. A bold statement.
Confident win.
I'm like an extra win if I predict that correctly. I don't know.
Well, a little asterisk next to it.
I'm the president. I'll make the rules. Anyways, that's going to do it for the Duquesne Sports Pregame Show. For Dylan Pfister, I'm Jack Morgan saying so long. Enjoy the game.
Great work.
Great work, everybody.